Davinci is amazing, but there's a few missing features that stop it from being a complete no-brainer for editors to move to. So I'm gonna fire through 5 of my top requested DaVinci Resolve features. Give us a Skimmer Playhead. If you've ever used Final Cut Pro for an extended period of time, you'll realize just how satisfying the cursor skimmer is. Not having to constantly click around your timeline to preview your edit, and instead just lining up where your cursor is to make a really quick cut or ripple delete just feels so satisfying. Every time I hop into DaVinci, I'm instantly frustrated as to why I have to move my mouse cursor to this small sliver at the top of the timeline just to be able to move my playhead around. It's just not intuitive. Versus the playhead moving along with wherever I put my mouse cursor. Final Cut Pro even gives you the option to completely disable this feature. Not sure why you'd want to do that, but okay. So there's no reason why DaVinci can't also add this in as a feature that can either be toggled on and off, especially to help introduce the Final Cut Pro users into Resolve and to make them feel a lot more at home. Tracker and Magic Mask in the edit page. It's no secret that the tracking and roto features in DaVinci Resolve are incredible. It's literally witchcraft what you're able to do with the Magic Mask in the Fusion page with basically very little effort. And all without ever leaving Resolve to go off and use another software like After Effects, as you would have to do if you were a Premiere user. But herein lies the problem. To get the best out of these features, you have to use the Fusion page, which looks entirely different from the edit page, meaning many users are gonna feel super intimidated to even learn the most simplest form of node-based editing within this page. So Blackmagic, why can't you add these features on the edit page as well? Magic masking is available on the color page, and yes, there is a workaround where you could basically just rotoscope with the color page if you're a bit more familiar with that whole workflow. But just adding a simple option to track or roto within the edit page would help us stay in our whole editing flow. There are third-party options for this from the likes of Mr. Alex Tech, and they're pretty decent, but something built from the ground up by the Blackmagic team would obviously be a lot more intuitive. A magnetic timeline. Probably a bit controversial for some, but when the magnetic timeline works, God damn it, it works. Moving a clip closer to another and having it automatically bump up a track to leave space for it. Locking a video or text element together so that they move in tandem without you having to manually link them together. These features make editing feel fluid and speedy with not that much thought. I know DaVinci are already utilizing magnetic type features in their cut page, but why not give us the option to have these in the edit page as well? The simple way to keep the DaVinci purists happy is just to let us have this as a toggled option. What is the harm in that? Adding great features from other editing apps that mean that new users feel more at home, and existing users can be introduced to a new workflow that may make them question how the hell they lived without this feature for this long. Having audio and video track groups. I understood what a lovely addition this feature would be by playing around with music production software like Ableton, where you can easily group tracks together and collapse them as needed to give you more space on your screen. In music production, it's such an important way to not get swamped down by just layers upon layers of tracks, and I think the same can be said for video projects too. Right now in DaVinci, you can resize tracks, you can bump them up and down to change the position of them, color code them, name them individually. All great organizational features, don't get me wrong. But why can't I make groups for these tracks to fold them down to make even more space in my timeline? Then I could even apply effects onto a whole video or audio group rather than having to do it individually per track. Final Cut Pro kind of has this organization with grouping with its roles feature, and I use it all the time, especially if I'm working on sound design. I'll always solo the sound effects just so it collapses all of the other tracks and I can really focus on just making and all these other sound effects. But even in FCP, you still can't apply effects just to a specific role. DaVinci has added a track grouping feature within the Fairlight page, so here's hoping that they'll also apply this over to the edit page as well. Adding the ability to zoom into waveforms on the source video. I've ranted about this in a previous video of mine, but one of the things I just love about Final Cut Pro is how detailed the audio waveforms are. Often I don't even have to add clips in the timeline to chop out selects, as I can spot the waveform peaks in the browser and then add them into the timeline, all while skipping any gaps of me sitting silently as I try to memorize my script, which happens quite a lot. Resolve tries to do a similar thing by allowing you to see waveforms at the bottom of your player in the media page, but they're just way too small to finally select any speaking sections in your A roll. And even if you select the show zoomed audio waveform option, the waveform gets way too zoomed in and you can't even rescale it. It'd be really cool if you could just hover your mouse over any part of the waveform that you want to use and then just drag on it to select the in and out points of that specific clip. But instead now you have to click and drag the playhead to find the start point that you want, then you have to click a keyboard shortcut to press in, and then you have to drag the blade again to the end, and then you got to do the out point. Ugh, it's just lame. So lame. Please Resolve, better waveforms in the next update will just do wonders for FCP lovers like me. Come here, FCP. Give me a kiss. There's a bunch more feature requests that I have to resolve, but just these 5 features alone would take Davinci to the next level. Let's hope Blackmagic are listening to suggestions like mine so they can keep pushing Resolve miles above the competition. And to let all of the other companies know that when you listen to your user base, they'll reward you for it by remaining loyal because you made their creative lives easier. If you want to accelerate the speed of your edits with nothing but the keyboard that you already have, you should check out this other video right here. Hit the subscribe button, and I promise that I'm going to tell you the #1 filmmaking secret that even Roger Deakins doesn't want you to know.
And you know it's a compromise.
You pressed it? Okay, you ready for the secret? I'll tell you. You didn't expect it was that, did you? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.